Hey boys and girls, I'm Nick in the States, and today we're going to tackle the existential question of what's the deal with Orville guitars? What are they? When were they made? Who made them? Any specific information on the tiers and the grades of them? And where can I find more information? That's what we're going to talk about, so let's get to it. All right, this is an Orville. That down over here is also an Orville. Right? Look at these two guys. They're just happy-go-lucky little cool guitars. So Orville is actually licensed by Gibson to be manufactured in Japan, and they worked with one of the large distributors there, who then farmed it out to two factories. First Terada, and then Terada and Fujigen. Many people who collect Japanese guitars probably know Fujigen, but Terada is one of the very nice factories that manufactured some great stuff during that era. So this was in 1988 to 98. Epiphone was being made at the time in Korea, and my understanding is there probably was some exclusivity for who was producing it and how and what the scope of the market was. So Gibson was able to, what Gibson ended up doing was creating a new line called Orville, licensing that to be manufactured for the Japanese domestic market, kind of as a premium thing, especially in that market, compared to the Epiphones. And there was kind of a chasm at the time between what Epiphone was making in Korea and what Gibson was making in the US, especially for price. It's like $450 to $1,600 or $1,800, in '88. So that's a big swing. So there was a good spot in the middle, especially in guitar crazy Japan of the late '80s, early '90s. So they came out with these, and they were smart enough to give them full-size headstocks. Hefty, two-piece usually, maybe three mahogany bodies, 3/4-inch full maple caps. They'll put either a veneer photo flame or a real full flame top on it. All bound necks, good tuners, good pickups, option pickups depending on where you get in there. They treated them like how Japanese had already been building and copying Les Pauls for years. They just got on the bandwagon by putting their own brand on it and making some of that money. Good, well done. There's really two lines of Orvilles. There's Orville and Orville by Gibson. And really, those are the two tiers. The lower end one is an Orville, and the top notch one is the Orville by Gibson. You start with the basic package on a regular Orville. The two-piece top, 3/4-inch maple top. It's either a plain top or it's a flame top that almost always is a photo flame top. It's an artificial flame that's been made to look like this, but really it's been printed on a photo and had a finish applied over it, and applied in the same manner as like a veneer. This one, the jury's still out on. I can't really tell. I think it may be a photo top. They had really only 2 or 3 patterns. They had the really muted one, which is on this. And then they had this one, which I'll show in a photo, which is like really flamey crazy. The difference between a photo top and a regular maple veneer is made up of real flame maple. And when you finish it and put a gloss on it and turn it in the light, you can see like the depth to it. It looks 3D. This kind of stays flat. The flames look shiny, and where there isn't flamey kind of stuff, it's not shiny, and that's pretty much the effect of the photo flame. Fender was famous for this for their Fender Japan stuff. They had photo flame top, and they even did flame maple necks where they would wrap the whole fretboard in that material. And it was a funny bit of knowledge that's completely useless, is you'd know it was a Fender photo flame neck because halfway up the neck, right about here, there was some flame maple that basically looked like a Big Mac or Grimace from McDonald's. And so then you look for the Big Mac on there and you could tell if it was a photo flame or not. These are the little useless bits of knowledge that bounce around in my head. So anyway, those were those. That's on the regular Orville line. The other thing you have is you have 2 tiers on the regular Orvilles. So this one you can see has a sticker attached serial number, where this one, a more premium model, has the inked on one. And the cherry one has a K code, and the K codes, they're not the redheaded stepchildren of. My apologies if you're a redheaded stepchild. It's an expression. Sorry, but they're not there's some conjecture on forums and whatnot. Oh, it's K code. Yeah, they're slightly less desirable. They were made for I think one of the local music stores, and kind of was a special run for that. So they didn't ink the serial numbers. They put stickers on them. A lot of the stickers fell off. My routing on my inlays ain't no good. But aside from that, it's still the 3/4-inch maple top, solid mahogany back. The pickups in this one are quite warm and very pretty. Really kind of dig them. Your unlabeled vintage style tuners. That was kind of that one. The inked on ones little bit more care and attention was given to them, but in great guitars. And that's what Andy's one is one of the ink serial numbers. I got a link below for aging it and telling which factory made it. There's actually really good codes to how the serial numbers work, so you can click that link and get more detail there. I won't bore you with all that joy. So moving from these two lines, and they had some special editions, like Andy's has the Jimmy Page wiring. Really kind of cool stuff. They moved from these two ones, and then in the Orville by Gibson, the next tier up, they now had long neck tenons. They moved from the poly finish of these to nitro finish on them. They had the option of the Japanese PAFs or Gibson pickups in one other one. So it's really a lot closer to what was being sold in the US. And then the flame tops on those, if a plain top was a 3/4 inch top just like this, the flame tops on those was either a wood veneer or a solid wood maple flame. So like really spot on to what Les Paul standards were. Towards the end of the run, from 93-4 till 98, they actually had some really cool 59-ish models that, what was awesome is they even had, some of them had fret end nibs, the flame tops on them, the nitro, everything was really close to what Gibson was selling out of their custom shop. And they're really revered, and they go for rather large money right now. As like, just like Tokai's and some of that, is like a great Les Paul. In this case, it is a Les Paul. It's not a copy, it's a Les Paul. So those are really some of the key things there. So another good point is it's not just all about single cutaways. They also had acoustics, specials, and juniors, and explorers, and Vs, and SGs, and ES175s, and especially the ES335s. So it was a full line. We just kind of focus on Les Pauls today. A lot like the Bernies, Tokais, Grecos, Edwards, Navigators, blah, blah, blah. These are really amazing, good single cutaway Les Pauls type guitars. Japan really did a great job of it. In fact, Japan was making better ones than Gibson was for a while in that period, because those are kind of the dark days. So you can search these out. From a price perspective is kind of a key thing. They started about $600 for one of your K Cody kind of things. 6, 7, 8. Special editions like Andy's one, $1,500, $1,200, somewhere in there. Orville by Gibson started about 9-ish. And then depending on pickups and model, they also made customs. They then shoot all the way up to $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. There's a couple of very rare limited edition ones that are top dollar because it really is just like a custom shop R9. Some people complain because the necks on Orvilles all feel about the same, and they say one of the nice things about Tokais is you can find a 58 neck, a 59 neck, a slim 60s neck, kind of those things. And that's what the joy of those was, that were Orvilles all feel very similar. Weights change. This is a lot heavier than the other one, but it feels very similar from a neck. And I think some people may see that as a negative. Some people may say, cool, if you try your friend's Orville and you like it, or a store's Orville, and you go find another one, it's going to feel pretty close to that. So 88 to 98. After 1998, Gibson was able to bring the Epiphone line into Japan. And that's where you see the full headstock Epiphones with the ears on it and everything like that have been made even to this day. And I think those same kind of factories produce the Elitist series with their ugly headstocks, in my opinion. You may like them. So that's where things end. And it's funny because when they went to Epiphone, they merged so that you'd see long neck tenon construction, the classic 50 style way of how the neck meets the body, from like the Orville by Gibson series with the photo flame tops from the regular Orville series. So they kind of mishmashed how they went and carried on their merry way from there. The last thing is, why'd they name it dorky name like Orville? Isn't that Redenbacher popcorn or something like that? Well, Gibson was started by Orville Gibson. So it's pretty easy to see why they named the line Orville, because it still had a tie to the family name and the history and all of that kind of stuff. So, but they're great. And, they're priced still pretty well. I've bought mine from a guy called Ukini55, or that's the name of his shop, on eBay. His name's Yuma. And they're great. What I found in each of the guitars I bought from Japan over the years, you'd have some risk, right? It's coming international. There are some shops that it's obvious they have their own photos of the guitars. They're their guitars. A lot of other shops on eBay actually are individual resellers, all with the same pictures of a guitar that's in a shop. So they're all trying to freelance sell it with some commission from a larger store that's somewhere in the area. So it's good to know if the stock is theirs or not. Get a lot of pictures. Look for fretwear. A lot of Japanese guitars get played hard. The one thing I liked about Ukini is he takes like 50 pictures, so I could see all the natural little dings and marks and nicks that this has from a life of amazing Japanese adventures before it came to the U.S. to me. And then shipping to the United States is actually great. Japan is my favorite company to buy guitars from. Favorite country to buy guitars from, because I can order this on a Saturday and it shows up at my door on Tuesday, even if that Saturday is Christmas Eve. Not kidding. That's how fast it came in. And my last one was the same deal. I think it was basically 2 business days from my order. So they get here quick compared to some other places that's 2-3 weeks, something like that. And well packed. They've been a joy to deal with. So I like that. Just be sure that your shop looks reputable, that the pictures are theirs, that kind of thing. But this is these are Orvilles. Check them out. Just like Bernie's and Grecos and Tokais and whatever. They're cool. Some of them are affordable. And it's another neat place to go hunt gear. So with that, I've been Nick in the States. This has been What's the Deal with Orvilles. Thanks for coming by and sharing in my issues. Take care, folks.